Over the last 2 years, Hollywood didn't just get healthier, it got dramatically thinner. Sudden transformations, bodies changing fast, and the same excuse: clean eating and discipline. This isn't an attack on GLP-1 meds when prescribed for real medical needs. That's healthcare. The issue is secrecy. Celebrities selling workouts and meal plans while hiding the real cause, creating impossible standards and profiting off insecurity. If this bothers you, subscribe. We're exposing what they hide. Taking the #1 spot is an irony so sharp it almost feels scripted. Demi Moore is starring in The Substance, a film that openly critiques Hollywood's obsession with youth, perfection, and the brutal lengths women are pushed to just to stay visible. And yet, to play that role, Demi had to submit to the very pressures the movie is warning us about. In preparation for filming, Demi reportedly dropped around 20 pounds under an extremely strict regimen. That alone would be intense for anyone. But the story doesn't stop there. When award season arrived, long after filming had wrapped, Demi appeared noticeably slimmer than she had in years. The transformation reignited the same conversations the film is trying to challenge. That's what makes this moment so powerful. This isn't just method acting, it's a live demonstration of how inescapable these standards are. Even a Hollywood legend, even a woman telling a story about the dangers of self-erasure, is still expected to physically conform in real life to be taken seriously on a red carpet. The Substance is about a woman who destroys herself trying to create a better version. The unsettling truth is that Demi didn't just portray that message, she embodied it under industry pressure. That's why this ranks #1. It proves that even when Hollywood exposes the system still demands obedience. Caroline Stanbury from The Real Housewives of Dubai is almost shocking in how upfront she is, especially in a franchise built on half-truths and quiet denials. After gaining around 18 pounds during IVF treatments while trying to have a baby with her younger husband, she openly talked about how stubborn the weight became afterward. No cryptic posts, no vague "hormones changed" explanations. Caroline said it plainly: she used a doctor-prescribed GLP-1 medication. But what really sets her apart is that she didn't pretend the medication did all the work. She documented triple gym sessions, strict eating, and simultaneous cosmetic procedures, all playing out on camera. Her husband even voiced concerns about side effects, and instead of brushing it off, Caroline acknowledged them. She framed the medication as a tool to reverse IVF-related weight gain, not a miracle shortcut and not a secret. In a reality TV culture where most stars either deny everything or stay strategically silent, Caroline chose aggressive honesty. Her approach is basically, yes, I used it. Yes, I worked out relentlessly. Yes, I did procedures, and I'm not hiding any of it. The conversation here isn't about whether people agree with her choices. It's about transparency. Caroline isn't selling a fantasy or pretending this is achievable through discipline alone. By laying everything out, she exposes just how misleading everyone else's silence has become. Elle King's response to speculation was so intense that it only poured more fuel on the fire. After dropping from around 284 pounds following her pregnancy to a dramatically smaller frame in a very short period of time, the internet did what it always does: asked questions. And Elle didn't gently shut them down. She came out swinging, firmly denying the use of weight loss injections and calling the speculation offensive. To her credit, Elle offered context. She's been open about having PCOS and being pre-diabetic, conditions that can seriously impact weight and health decisions. She's also spoken about the fear that drives her discipline, watching her grandfather suffer and die from diabetes when she was just 10 years old. Add to that the trauma of growing up in the spotlight, including being sent to weight camps by her father, Rob Schneider, and the emotional layers start to stack up. Elle insists her transformation comes from extreme effort, hundreds of reps a day, intense cardio she hates, years without meat, and traveling with a bodybuilder-level trainer. On paper, it's possible, but the speed of the change keeps the questions alive. In this era, rapid transformations follow recognizable patterns, and people notice. The problem isn't that Elle owes anyone her medical details. It's that passionate denials don't erase visible trends. Whether her story is complete or not, the reaction shows how deeply mistrust has settled into this conversation and how hard it's become for anyone to be believed. Harvey Fierstein didn't just get honest, he became one of the loudest voices pushing for transparency. And that's exactly why his story matters. At his highest weight, around 310 pounds, the Broadway legend began using doctor-prescribed GLP-1 treatment in 2024 for legitimate health reasons. Over time, he dropped down to about 190, and unlike so many others, he never tried to dress it up as willpower or discipline alone. Harvey has been refreshingly blunt about how the medication changed his relationship with food. He said, "It doesn't feel like dieting. It feels like being a normal person who isn't thinking about food every waking moment." His focus was never about chasing a Hollywood ideal. It was about mobility, longevity, and avoiding serious health complications that were already knocking on the door. What really separates Harvey from the rest is that he didn't stop at personal honesty. He became an advocate, openly defending these treatments when they're medically appropriate and pushing back against the shame surrounding them. He even admitted to gaining about 15 pounds back after the initial loss and being perfectly fine with that reality. That kind of openness is rare, especially in an industry obsessed with extremes. Harvey can speak this freely because he isn't selling a fitness brand or a transformation narrative. His honesty exposes the real divide. Not who's using help, but who's pretending they didn't. Toya Jackson's situation feels less controversial and more genuinely unsettling, and that's what makes it stand out. Toward the end of last year, she began posting cryptic videos from medical offices, quietly asking for prayers and good results without offering any explanation. Then she would disappear for weeks at a time. When Toya resurfaced at public events, the change was impossible to ignore. She appeared dramatically thinner than anyone remembered, and the reaction was immediate. Fans weren't asking how she did it. They were asking if she was okay. Comments flooded in expressing concern, confusion, and fear. But because of the current climate where every visible weight change gets lumped into the same conversation, speculation took over. Instead of focusing on possible health issues, people jumped straight to assumptions tied to trending weight loss treatments. Sources close to the family have suggested Toya has been dealing with ongoing health challenges for years, largely kept private. She has thanked fans for their support during difficult times, but continues to share no real details. And that silence has created a problem. In today's culture, secrecy doesn't protect privacy, it invites projection. The real tragedy here is that Toya may be navigating serious medical issues, yet the conversation around her body has been hijacked by trend-based assumptions. We've reached a point where concern gets lost, and everything is reduced to speculation. That's not curiosity, that's a symptom of how broken this conversation has become. Melissa McCarthy's situation perfectly captures how loaded this conversation has become. For years, her transformation felt gradual and unremarkable. She credited early bedtimes, less snacking, and a quieter lifestyle. Nothing extreme, nothing sudden. Then awards season hit and everything changed. When Melissa appeared hosting Saturday Night Live in late 2025, noticeably slimmer and styled in a fitted black jumpsuit, the internet exploded overnight. But the moment that truly cemented this as a cultural flashpoint happened earlier, and it came from an unexpected place. Barbra Streisand commented directly on Melissa's Instagram with a simple question. "Did you take Ozempic?" It was the question everyone was whispering, suddenly asked out loud by a legend. Melissa's response? A playful, deflective video where she covered her face with a magazine, joking that Barbara knew she existed and thought she looked good. Funny, charming, and carefully evasive. What followed was strategic silence. No clarification, no denial, no explanation. Entertainment outlets stopped pressing because there was nothing to quote. And that silence spoke volumes. Years earlier, Melissa had publicly criticized diet fads and Hollywood's obsession with weight. Now, faced with a moment that demanded transparency, she chose humor and avoidance instead. Melissa doesn't owe the public her medical history, but this moment highlights the tension at the heart of the issue. When dramatic changes meet total silence, speculation fills the gap. And in today's culture, silence isn't neutral. It becomes part of the story. Rachel Recchia's response to speculation somehow managed to answer everything and nothing at the same time. As her noticeably slimmer appearance became a hot topic throughout 2024 and 2025, Bachelor Nation forums lit up with theories, timelines, and side-by-side photos. Eventually, Rachel addressed it, but only just enough to shut the door. Her statement was carefully worded. She said she went through challenges that impacted her body in ways she couldn't control, that she's now in a healthier place, and that this would be the last time she'd speak on it. No details, no clarification, end of discussion. On the surface, it sounded reasonable, but in practice, it created more questions than it answered. What made the reaction stronger was the contrast. In the past, Rachel had been open about her breast reduction surgery, explaining it was done for chronic back pain. That transparency earned her trust. So when a dramatic physical change appeared alongside deliberate vagueness, fans noticed the shift. Many assumed the issue was medical or recovery-related and were willing to respect privacy, but the half-statement left room for endless speculation. This isn't about demanding personal information. It's about how controlled ambiguity works in the age of social media. When a public figure acknowledges something significant happened, but refuses to explain it, the narrative doesn't disappear. It multiplies. Rachel's approach shows how silence framed as closure can actually keep the conversation alive, and how, in this climate, vagueness rarely protects anyone. Rebel Wilson's story adds a layer to this conversation that almost no one talks about, and that's what makes it so revealing. Everyone remembers her year of health in 2020, when she lost around 77 pounds through documented changes to diet, movement, and mindset. That transformation was public, gradual, and widely praised. But what came after was the part no one celebrates: maintenance. After becoming a mother and navigating fertility treatments, Rebel admitted that keeping the weight off became a completely different battle. That's when she made a rare, honest confession. She briefly used doctor-prescribed pharmaceutical help, not to lose the weight initially, but to manage appetite when her body started pushing back. It was tied to her IVF journey, and once that phase passed, she stopped. This matters because Rebel didn't rewrite history. She didn't claim the medication caused her original transformation, and she didn't pretend biology suddenly stopped mattering. She framed it as a short-term tool, one used when hormones, stress, and life changes threatened to undo years of effort. Rebel represents a truth most celebrities avoid. Even after doing everything right, long-term weight maintenance can be brutally hard. Her honesty challenges the myth that once the weight is gone, the struggle magically ends, and it forces a bigger question about sustainability that Hollywood rarely wants to answer. The medication itself isn't the issue. When used responsibly, it's healthcare. The problem is the secrecy using prescriptions while profiting off all-natural transformations, workout plans, and lifestyle brands built on results that aren't honestly explained. Hollywood created the pressure that made this inevitable, The drugs are just the byproduct. And when fans are sold impossible standards, transparency matters. If you care about calling out what's really happening behind these transformations, make sure you subscribe and stay with us.